Hey everyone, I'm going to go over the details for the lemonade competition that's going to be starting soon. I didn't create a design for this one, but I did host a little event where people submitted their No NFT Required design. The goal was to see who could come up with the highest production rates for lemonade without requiring the use of any NFTs. Other than Express Depot, I did allow that one and any NFTs that wouldn't make a difference. But with that said, let's take a look at the actual Discord information real quickly. The lemonade is going to be star boosted to 170,000 stars for each one, so that's going to be the most competitive item to make, and it is a new item that's been introduced along with lemons, which are required to make the lemonade, and the lemon tree, which is where you get the lemon from. Now the cash boosts for this competition are going to be lemon cash boosted from 600 to 6,000, ice blocks from 4,500 to 45,000, and sugar from 2,300 to 23,000. Lemons would probably be the best thing to make here, unless you have NFTs to help you make sugar. Then you could also make sugar, but I still think lemons would be better. Ice blocks, of course, if you have the NFTs that would help you immediately make ice blocks, and that would be a really good way to go. Either way, all three of these cash boosts are very good. Now the starting biome is going to have a river on the east side and the mountain on the west side. This is the starting biome that you're looking at right here. Same details with the gas, that is 60 seconds per trade, 1 gas lane per trade. There is also going to be an additional reward for the top 225 placements. This is a Vexy costume or proto Vexy that you can use in the Vexy Villages game. They have done this type of reward before, so they're just doing it again for this competition. Now lemon is made in the new building called the lemon tree. It has a 6 water craft requirement, and the craft timers are 50 seconds, and then it goes higher from there because it's negatively impacted by dirty, salty, and shade. It is picked up by the farmers and stored in the silo. Now lemonade is made in the mixing tent, bringing the mixing tent to a total of 8 crafts so far. Mixing tent makes a lot of items now and has a craft timer of 2 minutes. Lemonade requires 4 lemons, 2 water, 1 ice block, and 1 sugar. Now before I get into the build showcases that people submitted, I made a quick snippet to show you how easy or simple it is to make lemonade. Of course, you would want to utilize the entire space of the town, but this is just a quick snippet to explain it. So you would want to have your lemon trees, tree farm, sugarcane fields all close to the river. You will need several ponds basically everywhere because you need passive water for all the crops, of course, but you also need passive water for the mixing tents, which are making the lemonade. So all those crops would go to the silo. The wood would get taken directly to the windmill, which is the only thing that requires wood in this build, so not a whole lot of wood is required. The windmills would be making sugar. Whether you want to go for a design that uses only green timer windmills or red timer windmills, either one could work, but in my opinion it would be more efficient to just do a red timer windmill design for this specific meta. Now the hardest part, or maybe the hardest part for this lemonade meta, would be the ice blocks, since those are an expensive process to get to, since you will need passive cold, which can only be obtained from the Wizard's Workshop, which casts 1 passive cold, or the Santa's Factory, which casts 2 passive cold. So you would have to build either of those or both of those, and you wouldn't be crafting anything with them. You'd just be using them for the passive cold, so that your Master Wizard, another expensive building, would have the 3 passive cold that it needs to make ice blocks, in addition to the 2 water drums, whether you're using water pumps to provide that passively or water facilities. Although water pumps would be more ideal because water facilities would just slow things down. And the last thing, of course, is mixing tents. A 2-minute craft time is pretty high, and they do need to make 4 trips to the silo to pick up all 4 of those lemons, in addition to 2 trips to the storehouse to pick up the ice block and the sugar. They do have to make a lot of trips, and that means that you'll need a lot of mixing tents in order to make all the lemonade that you need to make. Now, depending on how much gasoline you're making, I obviously did not make a gasoline setup with this example, but you would either want to make extra gasoline to make sure that you can sell all the items, or you may want to have a setup where you're using the freight pier to sell 100 items at a time. That way you can sell lemonade in batches of 100, and that would save you a lot of gasoline. Either of those methods could work. It just depends on what you want to go for. Now, of course, the freight pier would have to be next to the river, which kind of wastes some valuable river space, but it can still work. All right, now the interesting part, we are going to look at the submissions for this event that I made, community build showcase event lemonade, in parentheses best rates, since that was the intention. The other ones I've done, it's been a process of a vote for the one you like the most. There won't be any voting for this one. It's ordered in a way where we go from, I suppose, lowest production rate to highest production rate. That's the way I'm going to show it off in this video anyways. So here's all the rules. I'm not going to go over them too much. Basically, no NFTs that would improve the production rates. Express Depot was allowed. So we're going to go over the 6 entries, starting from entry number 6 and then going for entry number 1. Now you'll be able to see this channel for yourself on my Discord server. Make sure to join if you haven't already. This channel for the moment is going to be called Lemonade Build Showcase Event, but of course this name will change if I do future build showcases, so just keep that in mind. So entry number 6 was by Nibble a Bit. Production rate is 379 per hour. I'll have build costs right there, but I don't think I'll mention it for each one of them. Just keep in mind that this build will be expensive. Most of these will be over 40 million cash to build because of the cost of all the mixing tents, senses, factories, master wizards, all that stuff. So for each submission, they must present 4 pictures of each different angle and going through the production monitor. Each one needed to run the production monitor for at least 2 hours. Nibble a Bit ran this one for 9 hours, as I can see. Production rate is right there for Lemonade, 379 per hour. Probably could have gone a little bit higher. I know he was planning to make like a second version of the design, but he didn't have time to do that. So this was his first submission. Here's what it looks like on the visualizer Townstar Planner.online. I will have files for both of the visualizers. That is for anybody who already has access to the Townstar Playbook Planner. You can use that file if you want. Otherwise, the regular file for Townstar Planner.online will also be provided. So this is what it looks like for Townstar Planner.online. This is what it looks like on the Townstar Playbook Planner. I did run the production prediction. Now, of course, that's not completely accurate, but it can at least give me an idea of what the planner predicts it would make, and it seems like a feasible prediction. Like I said, they're not going to be all accurate. Some of them are pretty accurate though. So that's it for Nibble a Bit. I'm not going to give too much details or criticism or recommendations about each build. I think each one did good considering what they worked with, and of course there's always room for improvement. We know that, but I don't want this video to be spending too much time on each entry. Here is entry number 5 by Chewbacca. Here's all 4 angles of the build. Now I know Nibble a Bit and Chewbacca use a lot of straight roads on their designs. Chewbacca's build here is doing about 388 lemonade per hour if I were to round it up here. Here's what it looks like on the visualizer and the Townstar Playbook Planner. Production prediction is basically almost perfect if we're looking at the actual number right there. So I was surprised by that. It's almost spot on. Wow. So entry number 4 right here by Victor 29462. Production rate of 402 per hour. Here's all 4 angles of their build. I do know that Victor here used a lot of oil pumps to make sure that there is enough gasoline for all the trades, and they are using a regular trade depot instead of the express depot. Here's what it looks like in the planner. Also straight roads for the most part. You can see right here. Of course, most of them will have the crops next to the river. That's the more ideal choice. And here's what it looks like on the Townstar Playbook Planner. Prediction shows 438, which is, it predicts higher than what he's actually making, but that can happen sometimes. Now I will say most of these are using a red timer windmill setup, but I do believe that Nibble Woobit's design used mostly a green timer windmill setup. It's not all green timer windmills. I know some of them are being affected by shade from mountain and nearby buildings, but it does look like some of these are on a green craft timer. Just wanted to mention that just in case before I forget. Entry number 3 over here by Team Storm NFTs. Production rate of 462 per hour. I can see it's a little bit more expensive than the other ones. So we're getting into the top 3 production rates over here. They are much higher. Very impressive rates here. Here are all 4 angles of the build. 1 main section of roads. Otherwise, not a whole lot of roads everywhere else. Here's the production monitor, had it running for 2.5 hours here, 462 lemonades right there. And this one is using that freight pier setup. So he has enough storehouses here to store at least 100 lemonade and just sell it in batches of 100, and plenty of mixing tents and windmills. This is probably why it's more expensive. Doesn't need as many oil pumps because of the freight pier setup, so that is saving some space. So very efficient setup right here. All the workers in the very back, as most of these do. Now the Townstar Playbook Planner is predicting about 471 lemonade per hour. So once again, very close to what it's actually making here. Entry number 2 by Wilson Dub, production rate of 471 per hour. Here are all 4 angles of the design, only using like 2 main roads right here. Kind of looks like number 4 right here. Everything else is using like a spotted road setup, kind of using some subgrid for the master wizards to have the correct amount of passive cold for all of them, while still having the passive water drums on the side. Plenty of space for the crops. I did notice that a lot of these sugarcane fields will be on a red craft timer. That's why there are so many sugarcane fields, but this seems to work very well for them, considering the production rate they accomplished. This is not something I would have thought of, so that's very interesting. And Townstar Playbook Planner here is predicting, okay, so I will explain. I know why this number is lower, 428, but the potential is 494. I took a look at this and the ice blocks are not correct on the Townstar Playbook Planner. Sometimes that happens just depending on the way it was set up. So this is actually making how many ice blocks? 482 ice blocks, hence why it would make up to 470 lemonade. So production prediction is not completely accurate here, but I understand why. It's because it's not registering the correct number for ice blocks. But with that said, production prediction would be pretty close if it was correctly counting the ice blocks there. Now entry number 1, of course, gonna be Beastie. Very impressive production rates, over 500 per hour. I did not think anybody would have gotten over 500 per hour with a no NFT build. I thought it would have been close, but not over 500 per hour. Now of course this build is extremely expensive at almost 60 mil, so that probably does explain it. Probably saves some space. Yeah, a lot of buildings utilized. He has like sections of roads here, so this is all 4 angles. Ran the production monitor for 3 hours. I think he said he was trying to run it for 10 hours and then it got disconnected. That's okay. 1 main road, and then you got a couple of like lines of roads, but otherwise it's mostly using the spotted road setup everywhere else. It does have several oil pumps, not using the freight pier, so they're using the express depot to do all their trades. Of course, all the windmills are on a red craft timer. It has a pretty big ice block setup over here with several Santa's factories. That's 5 Santa's factories. That's why it's so expensive here, but it seems to save space. And here's what it looks like on the Townstar Playbook Planner. Prediction does show 515 per hour, so it's very good. It does predict that it will make that much lemonade. Now of course all these people ran their tests. I assume they ran it correctly. No effect cards used, of course. Can't really like prevent somebody from doing that. All I can do is ask them not to do that. But those are all 6 entries submitted to me for this little event that I made. I want to thank everybody that made a submission for this. I originally was going to do a prize for the top 5. I actually didn't know how many people were going to do a submission. I thought maybe like 10 people would do a submission. Originally, before I even posted this, I was thinking maybe only top 3, but I decided to just change it to top 5. Now, of course, since we have 6 entries here and 5th and 6th production rates very close, I know everybody tried their best here that made a submission. I am just going to give a prize to everybody that participated here. That prize being access key for early access to the Townstar Playbook Planner, which right now, of course, is early access to my supporters and a few people that have exceptions or, rewards, just like a reward from this event. But my plan is to make it public. I keep saying this, but hopefully either by end of year or early next year. So I just wanted to mention that again. Now, of course, top 3 will also get a rare vending machine just as a little extra NFT prize, something that I have to spare. That'll probably be given to them later next weekend, but I will get in contact with all of them and create an access key so they can start using the Townstar Playbook Planner. Hopefully they enjoy it, and they let me know how to improve it for when it's ready for everybody to use. This channel is going to be here available for everyone to look at. All the files are going to be on each post. Now, don't try to download the Townstar Playbook Planner file and try to load that up on townstarplanner.online because it's just not going to load, obviously, because it's a different format. But I think that is everything. Hopefully you found this video helpful and informative, even though it was different. I've done these kind of setups before, of course. Make sure you're in my Discord and you go to the rule selection channel and make sure you have the Townstar rule or whatever rule you're interested in hearing announcements about. That way you don't miss out on any announcements that I make in regards to things like this, or just important things that I want to say about Townstar. So thank you all for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. If you want to help support the channel, you can find links in the description on how to do so. As always, I appreciate your support and thank you for watching.